delighted to welcome here as our next speaker, Penny left, so please excuse me, I'm just going to read her wonderful biography. Penny has been the statewide agritourism coordinator for the UC Small Farm Program since April 2009. In this position, she works with UC Cooperative Extension Farm Advisors to develop resources and connections for everyone involved in California ag tourism, including farmers, ranchers, tourism and economic development professionals, government staff and officials, and the millions of people who love to visit farms and ranches. Penny has more than 17 years of experience working with small and mid-scale farmers, including 8 years as program manager for the Berkeley Farmers Markets, which is where I know Penny from. So Penny, welcome. And we have to put a microphone.
That's okay.
Microphone or not? How are we doing?
Can you hear me?
Would people prefer a little bit of a mic? Yes or no? No mic. Okay.
Okay.
And so Penny is going to talk about assessing your farm or ranch for its agritourism potential. So welcome, Penny. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabella. Thank you for inviting me. And I can understand everybody walking out. You just heard from the experts. And you heard from the people who know what they're doing. So, but I'm gonna try to share with you a little bit about how you would go about thinking of doing this yourself on your farm or ranch. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program real briefly. I'm with the UC Small Farm Program. I'm the Agritourism Coordinator, which, as Sabella said, means I get to work with farm advisors and farmers and ranchers all over California who are planning agritourism and starting things and marketing things and communicating things and getting farm trail groups together and all sorts of different organizations and working with their counties and changing the agritourism regulations and just in general building an agritourism industry in California because we're pretty new at it. We have a directory, calagtour.org. We welcome any agritourism operators to list for free on this. It's an online directory and calendar. You can put your agritourism operation and your events up there for free. And we get thousands of people every month searching it, looking for farms and ranches to visit. So it's for the public to find you, and we encourage you to use it. We have a website on the Small Farm Program website. There's an agritourism section with a lot of fact sheets, resources, helpful things. And I'm going to hand out something that's on there for you, which is, if you can hand these to everybody, it's a worksheet that might be helpful for you in thinking about agritourism on your own operation. And we also have a newsletter. Please sign up for the newsletter. It comes out by email every few months. And we have a book called Agritourism and Nature Tourism in California. This book is a really good guidebook for setting up agritourism on your farm or ranch. It was written by a couple of farm advisors from UC Cooperative Extension who know all about this. Ellie Rilla and Holly George did a great job putting the book together. I happen to have a few copies for sale for $25. See me if you want it. Okay, now starting your agritourism operation. Okay, we're going to start with, this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to think about your goals for your business and how that would fit into having agritourism on your place. We're going to think about who's your competition and who are your customers. You're going to assess what you've got on your place and think about what you can do and what's limiting you, what you can't do. And again, think about how this changed your goals and then start thinking about what you want to do. So first off, thinking about, why would you even want to do agritourism on your place? What are your goals for your overall business? So you have to think about why are you doing your farm or ranch in the first place, and those are goals that you probably have thought a lot about. You want your business perhaps to support your family. Maybe you just want to stay on the land. Perhaps you've got, and this is what drives agritourism in a lot of places, maybe you've got the next generation of people coming in and want to work on the family farm or ranch, or maybe you are the next generation of people and you want to get something going, that a new business involving a whole new way of connecting to your community besides selling them products. So that's a reason that people do farming and ranching. Perhaps you just want to make sure that you have a retirement business. Maybe you want to keep the land. Maybe you want to get rich. That's why you're farming. Only you, I'm sure. Next one. So now you think about whether what you're doing now is meeting your goals, and I know you've all thought about this. And in that context, think about where agritourism might fit in, and how it would fit in also with what else you've got planning on. You know, are you expanding into 5 new farmers markets this year? Maybe it's not the best time to also start agritourism, so it has to fit into context of your overall business. So how would agritourism fit in with what you're already doing, and why do you want to do agritourism, and what do you want to get out of it? So it's a good idea to think about whether your main goal is extra money, diversification, a new income stream. Is it to better connect with your community? Is it to better market and brand your products? Those are the 3 main reasons that people decide to get into agritourism. And it helps to think about why you're doing this before you do it. And, okay, so if you have decided you're considering agritourism, you have to understand what you're doing now, and I'm sure you've heard, I'm sorry I missed their stories, but I'm sure you've heard from all these folks that what you're doing with agritourism is real different than selling your stuff. Because yes, people will come to your place, yes, they will buy your products. You have to, of course, have lots, your farm stand, your jams, your jellies, your pumpkins. You have to have things for them to buy because they will buy them. But when they're coming to visit, they're not just looking for stuff to buy. They're looking for experience. And they're kind of, it's a different mood. Okay, they want to be educated. They want to learn about what you're doing. But it's kind of lighter. They're having fun. They're building memories. They want little snippets of authenticity, but not the whole day. They want to know what you're doing, but they don't necessarily want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning with you and fix the tractor. But they want to go out and see how the peaches grow and have a chance to pick them and look at the blossoms and take pictures. They want education, they want memories. They also might be looking for a place to hike, a place to watch birds, a place to stay, some music or art. So there's a lot of things that you can combine with education about your farm or ranch. But the main thing that people are doing when they're visiting your farm or ranch is they're usually not by themselves. They're there with their friends or their family. And the whole point is this is an experience with the people they're with. They're building a memory and having a good time. And they want it to be special, not just for them, but because they brought their kids along and they brought their grandmother along, and this is their senior group. And so they're doing something with people, and it's really important to understand they're there with a group, with people, and they want to enjoy your place. And they want to have fun. That's the big thing. They want to have fun. Okay. So when you're thinking about it, as you've heard, first thing you've got to do is find out who is your competition? What's going on in your region already? And I seriously encourage you to visit your competition. Visit people who are doing what you're thinking of doing. Visit people who are doing something that might be complementary to what you're doing. You might be 2 stops on the tour, and see how you can work with people. And when you visit people, as we heard, be open and talk with them and tell them what you're thinking, because they're going to find out anyway. It's a small community, and if you go like learn everything they're doing and go set up an operation a half a mile away, they're going to find out about it. Even if you're a half hour away, they're going to find out about it. So just be open, talk with them, see how you can complement each other, see how you might work it together, learn what they're doing, ask questions of their visitors. Next one. And the whole point of this is to figure out who are your ideal customers. Who is your target who you want to market to? Is it families? Is it adults? Is it seniors? Is it tour groups on buses? Is it individuals? Is it for people with an interest in a particular hobby? It could be bird watchers. It could be gardeners. It could be people who are interested in a specific thing that you're doing. So you're going to want to think about who you're targeting to and where you're targeting to. Okay? And you'll think about what you've got. What's special about your, okay. These pictures have stories. Who wants to tell me a story about one of these pictures?
Smudge pot?
Huh? Yeah, tell me about smudge pots.
I don't know a lot about smudge pots, but I know what they look like, and they're really nasty.
Okay, that's a story. And you have somebody on your farmer ranch who used to have to get up at 3 in the morning and stay up all night and light those smudge pots and deal with them. And what do you do now to replace smudge pots?
Well, what my dad told me was the replacement is after the war they had all the surplus airplane propellers, so they just go ahead and blow those around. Now you don't have to, you just go ahead and power the fans for that instead of using a sludge pump. That's kind of the gist of what I got from it.
And that's what people want to hear. They want to hear those stories. They want to know, like, it might look like a pile of junk in the corner of behind the barn, but when it comes with that story, it's interesting. And when you look around your place, there's stories. Those there are persimmons drying in the Japanese, forgot the name of how they do it, but that's a technique where people are drying persimmons, and you're all doing things. You're all doing processing techniques. You're doing things on your farms or ranches that people are interested in. Okay, so basically you're going to want to take an inventory, look at your land, what land you own, what land you have access to, what's the soil like. Of course, if the soil is best for growing crops, you don't want to put a parking lot there and make it be something else. If you have water, if you have a hill with a view, that's a really interesting thing, because people will like to walk up that hill, and that will be an experience. Walk up the hill, look at the view. There's farms I know who put that on their website. Come to our farm, take a walk up the hill, and then go down to our shop and buy some things. And that works for them. And that's part of their marketing. You might have old buildings, you might have barns, you might have an old water tower, you might have any of these things are interesting to people, and think of what you have and think of how you can build that into a tour or an experience for people. Additional attractions would be, what else are you close to? Are you close to a park? Are you close to a museum? Are you close to some place where people are going to go, where a lot of people go, and how can you tie your operation into their trip, that they're going to visit something close by? How will it work out? And of course, you have to think about whether the roads are decent, whether the bus can get up the road, that's your local infrastructure. You guys aren't too far out here, so your infrastructure isn't as bad as some really rural, windy places. But think about how people are going to get to where you are. Okay? And of course, you have to think about your neighbors. And it's very important if you are thinking of bringing visitors, bringing the public to your place, talk with your neighbors before you do it, because your neighbors can shut you down in lots of different ways. They can request a hearing, they can tell the county that your music is too loud. It's much better to think about your neighbors, talk to your neighbors, think about what they're doing and how what they're doing will impact your agritourism operation, and also how your agritourism operation might impact them. If they need to spread compost or spray their crops on a certain day, maybe that might not be the best day for you to hold a wedding and invite a whole lot of people out. So it's really good to be in contact with your neighbors. See how your neighbors might cooperate with you on your agritourism operation. What maybe they have skills, maybe you don't know till you talk with them how, if they're thinking of something similar, you might want to do it together. But at the very least, you want to invite them over and invite them over for dinner, talk about it, make sure they get the first tour, make sure they get the free pass, make sure that they are treated like special guests with everything you're doing at the very least, and at the very least also learn what are their concerns and talk with them before you get going on things. We basically went over this. I have no idea how long I'm talking, so how are you doing?
You're doing great. Half an hour, please, take your time.
Okay.
Another 10 minutes?
Okay, thank you. So all these different things could be going on your farm or ranch. I know I saw on the guest list some of you are ranchers. People, of course, are fascinated by animals. Everybody wants to see animals. They love to learn what you do with your cattle. They would love to see the babies when the babies are born. They like to learn about things. People are fascinated now. Everybody's got backyard chickens. And if you have poultry, they want to learn how you keep your poultry. And they will be there and they will ask you a million questions. And people are gardening now and they want to know more about how you grow things. They'll ask you questions about your fruit trees and use it in their backyard gardening. If people are interested in your pruning, they would love to come to a pruning workshop. If you're processing, show them what you're doing. If you have an olive oil press, if you're making jam, show them how you do it. And of course, roadside produce stands and harvesting and you pick, all these things people love. And you need a little money to get into this usually, so it's a good idea to assess your financial resources and where you might be able to find money if you are having to set things up, even if it's just for the permits. Permits can cost money, rebuilding things, having inspections, meeting the health department codes. These things cost a little investment, and you will want to investigate what it costs you to start up. And thinking about this, you will of course want to think about how much you're willing to risk in this enterprise. Hopefully it won't be an entire risk, but you don't want to lose your shirt on it. And it's very important to think also about, is this something that you personally really want to do? Do you love to entertain? Do you love to talk to people? Are you the friendly person who can always be friendly, who is always ready after a full day and after you got up at 4 this morning and did like 5 things, and your guest is getting up at 10 and being grumpy and telling you they didn't sleep so good, are you ready to smile? And are you patient and sensitive? And can you take that deep breath and be gracious all the time? And if you can't, somebody on your place needs to be that person. And so think about who is going to be the front person that is going to be the host for your guests. And when you're thinking of this, be honest. No, that's good. That went back one, I think.
Sorry, excuse me.
Did we?
There we go.
Oh, no, okay.
Am I out of sync?
That's okay.
Back another one?
Back, no, I think we're going forward. Oh, no, this is good, yes, okay. When you're
Move the mouse.
thinking of yourself also, thinking of what other skills you have that you might not be using at the moment, and how would these fit into what you're offering your guests and visitors. If you are a good cook, people love cooking demonstrations. If you can finesse a farm-to-fork dinner, that is the hottest thing these days. Everybody wants to come out to the farm and eat, and you can do it with a chef. You probably need a caterer, a licensed caterer, if you don't have the kitchen to do it yourself. Some people are doing it out of a farm kitchen. Depends on your county and how you want to work that out. People want to know about natural history, they want to know about local history. If you can build this into what you're offering on your place, it can be exciting. So these are just things to think about. And of course, you also need to think about how your agritourism operation, whatever you're thinking of doing, is going to impact everything else and everybody else that's working on your place and living on your place. Because the interesting thing about agritourism is it's usually in your home or on your home farm or ranch, and you've probably got family members there, you've probably got other staff people there, you're probably doing other things on your farm or ranch. So whatever you're doing is going to impact other people there, and whatever you're doing, you need to be clear with everybody and make sure they understand, you understand what's the impact of what you're doing. And this is your staff, your family, your management team. Of course, we already talked about checking it out with your neighbors, how friendly is the county to what you want to do, and will they be helpful, will they be easy with permits and such? Do you know who to talk to? And you're going to hear a little later from some county people that will help you answer that question. How is your Convention and Visitor Bureau? I know we have a tourism expert back there somewhere who will be a great person. These folks can help you connect to the tourism industry. And the tourism industry is the people who are organizing months out those buses full of people that want to come out and see your place. And it's a whole other thing. There's a whole long lead time, and there's a whole bunch of people working with visitors, and they're people you want to connect with, your local tourism industry, and of course your Chamber of Commerce, local businesses. There's a lot of, agritourism is all about people connecting, cross-marketing, and building new partnerships that you might not have had in your production business. I know you got 1 million partnerships and you're in 1 million associations as agricultural producers, but in the hospitality business, you get to join another 1 million organizations and find a whole bunch more partners to work with. And what you can do is often defined by what you can't do. It's kind of obvious. You've got to be a good neighbor. You can't do things that are going to impact your neighbors adversely. If it's snowing all the time, you can't grow strawberries. You might have water limitations. You might limit how many people you can cap out there or what you can do. You, of course, have staffing limitations. We only have so many hours in a day. And the legal limitations, that is permits liability that you will hear more about over the day. Legally, of course, these are things you have to think about. We'll hear more about those. It can be one of the biggest challenges for getting into agritourism in many counties is the permitting process and the labor laws and the direct marketing laws and what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to sell, and where you're allowed to do it. But there's a lot of people like Jennifer that can help you with this too. So, basically, after you've gone through your worksheet, thought about all these things in relation to your own place, your own farm, your own business, your competitors, your neighbors, your business association, your county, then you have to think about, is this still something you want to do? Have your goals changed? Your farm support what you want to do, and do you have the money, and have you figured out who's going to do it, and how long will it take? And so you go back and think about these things again. And then the final thing I'd suggest is that you think about, pick like 3 different things you might do. For instance, a farm stand, a pumpkin patch, a U-pick operation, B&B, group tours. So pick like 3 different activities with your family or your partners, business partners, or your management team. Talk about how each of these activities might work on your place. List the pros and cons. Think about how the traffic will flow as you're doing this. Where will people park? Where will the sign be? Where will they walk next? What paths? Where will they exit? How will they get from the parking lot to the field where they're picking, or to where the tour is going to be, or to where the pumpkin patch is, or where the baby animals are? And how will it flow? And some people like to think of this as making sure that people walk past all their potential profit centers. So if you've got a shop, of course, people need to meet in the shop or in front of the shop, and then they need to go past where the hayride is going to be. And anyway, so it's just thinking of the flow. That is basically all I have for today. Do I have time for questions?
Sure, please.
Are there any questions? I know this is all very general. It's just kind of an overview for you guys to have a framework to think about what you're doing. Well, I have a question. Who's thinking of starting or expanding an agritourism operation? Okay, well, yes.
I have a question. I'm wondering what kind of changes you've seen in the agritourism sector over the last 10 or 15 years, or big trends that you're seeing.
I've seen really a demand, a resurgence of people interested in where their food comes from. Culinary is very important. If people can eat something, if they can have a meal at your place, it really adds to it. If they want local food, they'd love to combine local food somehow, or a food demo, or a tasting, if not a meal, with visiting a place. There's also a lot of interest from the tourism industry now. There is, people are asking, we're hearing that tour groups want to go to a farm, but in a lot of places, and farmers want to do it, and I'm seeing the two big barriers, besides the normal things like staff and energy and being basically farmers and in the production business and not having time for this. The big barriers I'm seeing are county permitting, being counties are really protecting ag land for ag production. And it's really a slow process of farmers and ranchers redefining what they'd like to call redefining agriculture and working with their counties to loosen some of the permitting regulations so that things can be allowed by right or with an administrative permit rather than a minor use permit in a lot of cases. So I think that the trend of people working, and it is a long process, but working with their counties to try to make things allowable because there is the demand and there is the potential. I think that's a big trend.